Welcome, FNUSA57 here. Once again, I'm back on my Xbox One, and today I am going to be bringing you part 1 of a multi-part series to finally answer the question that has been posed by my Seriously 5.0 Chapter 2 achievement guide. And that is exactly how you are to master every single one of the 32 escape maps. Now, keep this in mind. I'm going to say this in the very beginning before there's somebody in the comment section gives me a hard time. I will not, I repeat, I will not be showing you the one and only possible cheese method due to the amount of time that it takes to set up and the fact that it does not have a high success rate. It may work for the achievement. Most likely it will not. If you wish to try it, go ahead. I will be showing you how to actually complete every one of these maps on Escape, or for Escape, on Master difficulty. In today's video, part 1, we're going to cover the easy maps. So feel free to check the comments if you want, or check the description and you will see timestamps for each map. I'm going to be doing these in difficulty order for the most part, and I will be showing you the team comp used for every single run. As a warning label, so to speak, for Escape on Master difficulty, you are going to have a hell of a hard time, especially with some maps, if you do not have your classes leveled up, the proper skill cards for those classes equipped and leveled up, and at least a moderate of skill, hopefully with 2 other friends to go ahead and join you. So, moving forward, there are multiple ways that you can complete escape maps. I'm going to show you what I feel is the best. The first map we're going to be doing is the easiest map, which is the clock. And this one, there's a couple different techniques for it, but I'm going to show you how to run it in as close to a most ideal situation as possible. So, Master difficulty, all modifiers on, and we will be running a Brawler, an Infiltrator, and a Marksman. To complete this map easily on Master difficulty, you do need at least 1 carry class, but it's personal preference. Keeping in mind, I have completed every single escape map numerous times on Master difficulty, and have at least a top 1% or better time for every single one of the maps. Case in point, why I have the Arid Gale weapon set. So, we're going to go ahead and get this started. My friend Beard of Metal and Misfit Thor, they will be helping me out in the completion of these maps for this video. I will, of course, be editing out any additional load times that I can in between maps and whatnot to make this as easy as possible. For those of you who might be new to Escape, or just wondering why I mentioned about cheesing it earlier, there are methods for Horde and for the other requirements to basically cheese or make easier, not necessarily have to complete the full requirements, so to speak, but in Escape, that isn't an option. Escape is basically the new game mode for Gears 5, and it is definitely where it's pretty much the hardest. Some maps are definitely easier than others, and your difficulty is drastically different when playing on Master difficulty compared to playing on Incon. So at this screen, you can of course see the Master difficulty modifiers. Most maps will have like faster venom, more health, more lethal. Those are pretty common. We also have ghosted enemies and a few other annoyances to deal with. So in this first section of the map, the clock, you technically could do this faster with 3 brawlers, assuming all 3 were played by good players and had the proper cards on. In terms of card comp, you can reference my Seriously 5.0 Chapter 2 achievement guide, but Marksman is standard as far as cards go, standard long shot, one shot build. Brawler, standard tackle build, and Infiltrator, standard just shotgun build. You can pick up the cog tags if you want to for time, but one player, one of the carry classes, is going to come into this room, pick up the Marxa, and pick up the Nasher, ammo up those weapons, and then drop the weapon that's for the other class to the appropriate class. There's also a hammer burst if you want one. Now, there's two different seed sets that you can get. So we got the seed set with the rejects and the juvies, which this is the super easy seed set. Now, the other seed set you can get has elite drones and elite grenadiers, which it is possible for you to go down if shit goes wrong, which is exactly what happened there due to a unfortunate mechanic with Brawler, where sometimes you press the button to tackle, and instead of tackling, it will have you punch an enemy or vault over cover. Well, not necessarily vault over cover, but it'll have you slide into cover. Then you come into this ammo room, and Marksman grabs the long shot. Somebody should grab both shock grenades, and then there is also a M-bar here. If anyone wants the M-bar, they can grab it. It's a good idea to have both shock grenades. It just helps out at the end. It doesn't really matter. Brawler's mostly a melee class. If you have the card on to do incendiary damage, great. If you don't, no big deal. In this section, we're basically going to go straight for the safe room. There is another option, which is to go to the far left. There's a explosive ammo room that has a wonderful little bonus to it, which is it has a Lancer GL. You never really want to jump down this ladder, because going for the ladder simply extends the total amount of time that you spend in this area, and then that runs the risk of the Scion coming and having to deal with this Scion. Of course, when you have to deal with the Scion, it is a salvo Scion, and he is capable of just basically one-shotting you if you're not careful. Even as Brawler, he's capable of one-shotting you. So ideally, you don't want to go down that ladder. That ladder takes too much time. Plus, if you get downed in the process of going down the ladder, you instantly die. You don't actually go down. But if you do kill the Scion, you get yourself a nice salvo that you can use, which is really helpful if you have an explosive class. If you don't have an explosives class, then it's not as great.
This is called crossing a fucking line. Negative.
At which point, in the safe room, you basically have a flash grenade. You have two flashes, actually, if somebody wants those. They're not a bad idea to have.
Good to go. See anything worth picking up?
Warning, warning. Contamination detected. Doors opening in 3, 2, 1.
All right, chop chop.
Tea party's over, people.
Now, if no one else wants the overkill, I'll just take, or not overkill, salvo. I'll just take this. At which point, once you get up to this corner, make sure Marksman is in the lead, and Marksman should be able to easily, or somewhat easily, take out the Scions. Of course, we also got the rejects on this section, which is awesome, because it's far, far easier to deal with the rejects and the couple Scions than it is to deal with all of the elite drones and all of the elite grenadiers. I am using all the glory, but you should be careful if you do use all the glory, because you can hurt your teammates and escape with that card. Now, in this last ammo room, if you have an explosives class, or even if you don't have an explosives class, you should still come in here, and there's a couple ammo crates, a couple explosive ammo crates, and there's a boom shot. There should also normally be an overkill in here as well. So you're going to want to bring the boom shot for the end. Obviously, if you have an infiltrator, grab the overkill. Then once again, let your marksman take point, and marksman can go up to this little corner and then just use their ultimate to at least take out the scions through the wall, if not, take out some of the small stuff as well. Depending on the cards that you have equipped, you should be able to take out usually all 3 or 4 of the scions and maybe a couple of extra enemies. If you go slow, you can actually execute these rejects, but why bother going slow?
Let's go. Go.
Still got it.
Wasted a reject.
Reloading! And power off, asshole!
That's enough out of you.
Once you have cleared that section,
I see the exit.
remember that if you don't get the rejects in the beginning of the second act, then you're unfortunately stuck and you're going to be dealing with claws and elite grenadiers as well. Oh, we're good to go. One person will stay back here where the enemies spawn. Generally, the person with like the shock grenades, you can use the shocks. If you don't have shocks, you can use the boom shot. And then if you're brawler, you can go ahead and just use your ultimate and just tackle almost everything unless you get punched. It doesn't matter if you die, as long as one person actually escapes the map, you're good to go.
Wiped out another reject.
So I sacrificed myself there just to make sure we got the completion.
At this rate, I think the next mission might be your last.
Hey, you get the same rewards. You get the cards, you get the check mark for the completion, you get everything, and as long as one person escapes, that's all you need. So that is how you go ahead and master the easiest map in the game, which is the clock. For the second easiest escape map in the game, I believe that falls under the category of the mines. And master modifiers on this one change to ammo starvation, more health, more lethal, longer ultimate recharge, regen penalty, faster venom, and of course Iron Man. For the ultimate team comp for this particular map, I honestly believe that the original Scorpio Squad team comp, so Blade Master, Anchor, and Tactician now, are the best classes. You will have to take it a little bit slow with the Venom in certain places, but relatively easy to do. For Blade Master, same standard setup for Escape, Thrill of the Hunt, Venom Blade, Shock Chain, Brawler, and Venom Resistance. Anchor is pretty much personal preference, but generally speaking, Bolthawk Bandolier, Bloody Shot, Adrenaline Junkie, Crazy Tough, and Venom Resistance. And relatively the standard build on Tactician, with only one card that really should be, changed. But that's personal preference. Definitely Venom Explosive Resupply, Shredder, Resupply Duration, Recharge Bounty, and I like Venom Boost, but a really, really good card in certain circumstances, if you have it at level 6, is Resupply Speed Loader, because you bypass the reload with active rounds during your Resupply ultimate. Also, for anyone who is wondering, I do not include party audio the majority of the time,
Bomb is armed.
simply due to the fact that I believe YouTube would actually implode if I was to do that. At the very least, the video would not be able to be monetized. So, as per normal, if you are playing with a tactician that uses recharge bounty, they should be the ones to mark everything. This way, the person that kills it can get their ultimate back faster. Now, the seed set can be slightly different. That's one reason why I was very reluctant to actually make this particular set of videos, because just because you have the exact same team comp that we do and you have the exact same cards and the exact same level does not mean on most maps you will have the exact same outcome. There's a ton of variables as to what seed set you get, where the enemies actually go, pathing, how aggressive they are. This is one of the parts where it's generally a good idea to fall back a little bit to the venom.
Nice.
Got a juvie here.
Just because of all of the annoying juvies that are there. Of course, it's relatively easy to just, you know, annihilate that sire. But it is easier to do it in venom. Grab a weapon. It's always a good idea to grab a weapon. Even when you're playing a melee class like I am, just having something that shoots bullets is nice. Personally, I love to have a long shot. Now, for those of you who are playing an explosives class, if you come in this room, you'll find a explosive ammo crate. It can be in a couple of different places. You'll find a boom shot, and you'll find multiple frag grenades. The most I've ever found frag grenade wise is 3. I don't know why I had 3 the one time, but usually it's 2 frags plus the explosive ammo crate. Now, if you want to go down the left side, you can for more ammo, but it's not really necessary.
We got company.
Of course, we're going to have a few more annoyances up here,
Target neutralized.
which, if you're going to play outside of the venom, this is where making sure that you can go ahead and actually get your 3-piece kills, or actually be able to pull off a 3-piece. Watch out, because there's sometimes rejects in this particular room, so you have to be a little careful about that. There's a bunch of ammo in this room. Ammo's 99.9% of the time going to be for the anchor. And then we have a nasty old Scion sitting here. Of course. And of course Iron Man is on, so I have to wait till the safe room. Luckily these guys can handle that. I suppose this is an opportunity that I should mention. Be very fearful of bounced drop shots. They suck. Despite the fact that the bounce drop shot was literally behind a low piece of cover from where I was, and I was in pre-venom, which meant I had 32% additional resistance, it insta-killed me. That is a unfortunate fact of escape. It can be really annoying. Now, depending on the seed set that you got, Usually there's a bunch of juvies. Sometimes there's other enemies right there on those stairs. You do have to be relatively quick because you don't want to be in the toxic venom. Granted, this is where if I was alive, it would be a lot easier. If you go to the left side, because you have time, there's a bunch of enemies, but there's also more ammo rooms with the potential of there being cog tags if you're doing a timed run. Most of these Operation 1, Operation 2 maps are really easy. It's honestly kind of a toss-up between going to the right or going to the left at that point. Of course, if you died, you'll respawn in the safe room. Now, it's what it is when it comes to respawning in the safe room. Yeah, I died, but whatever. I lost my long shot. So in the meantime, I'll just pick up a Nasher.
My ammo now.
Basically, I just keep a ranged weapon most of the time for just, you know, shooting poppers. Of course, if you bring an infiltrator with you, you could make the argument that an infiltrator would be more useful than a blade master, but it's really just situational. I guess I'll just rock the shotgun for now. Nobody else wants them.
Got one here.
Those poppers are basically the most dangerous things. With Brawler on, even outside of Venom, you can one-tap the juvies. Gotta double check. Yep, that is on Master. For a second, I thought it wasn't.
Clean sweep.
All we're doing is taking the easy route. We're not doing a top 1% time run, so we don't have to worry about getting every single kill. It's also not a bad idea at this point to back up and go for the Venom. It makes it a little easier to survive if you're in the Venom. But if you have an anchor or someone that can bleed the sires, then you can stand next to them and fight them.
All clear.
Just take your time. There's usually a few rejects down the other corner. The rejects aren't that big of a deal. If you see juvies, definitely kill them. Don't go past the juvies because they can sneak up behind you really easily, and they are merciless at murdering your face.
Wasted a reject.
We got company.
If somebody does get grabbed by the sire, they do have to keep smashing the B button because you don't have very much time. But it's pretty easy to take them out with melee. And then if you kind of just circle around the rejects, you can often get the reject and yank out its power core, pack, whatever they want to call it.
We're good.
At this point, you can either wait for the Venom, or you can have Anchor snipe the Imagos. It's honestly personal preference. Of course, if one of them gets close enough, feel free to kick their ass. Imagos are just really annoying because the Enforcer does a shitload of damage.
All clear. This is mine.
Now, granted, I don't like the Enforcer, but why not? So at this point, you have two options with the map. You can either wait for the Venom, but if you look, the Venom is very far behind us. So it's personal preference what you want to do. If you wait for the Venom, it does make it a little bit easier. So for the purposes of this recording, we're going to go ahead and wait for the Venom. I did say I would make this as easy as possible.
my tomatoes up!
Alright, that toxic venom's getting closer. As you can tell, it killed a couple juvies out there, so we should be good to go in maybe another 15 seconds, roughly. And like I mentioned, you don't have to do this. It's just a little bit easier. Alright, by doing this and waiting for the venom or the pre-venom called the ash, it allows the tactician to just spam boom shots with their ultimate, pretty much wiping out just about everything. There might be a couple enemies that survive that, but that's a real drastic maybe. Just keep your eyes out, though, because from time to time there will be something that will survive this. And then, of course, there's a drop shot if you want it, some claws, cryo cannons, you know, little things that you can have. If you have grenades or shocks, it's a good idea to plant one up there.
I see the extraction point.
I'll just carry this cryo cannon because, you know, why not? And then once you go towards this point, it's going to go ahead and spawn enemies. It'll spawn a group of juvies. And most of the time, you can get all of the juvies with that grenade. The cryo cannon, honestly, isn't that good, so. But I just wanted to use it. I'm going to stay out here for a second and use my ultimate. As long as I'm in the venom with my ultimate, I can go ahead and just chain damage to almost everything. And then when the door's almost closed, you can just leave. Again, it doesn't matter if one person makes it out, two people make it out, or all three people make it out. You still get credit for the completion. The only difference is you get a better score or a better time the more people successfully escape. For our third easiest map, it will be the Hive, and I do want to note that there is another map called the Hive PAST HIVE. It is absolutely identical to the Hive, so there's no reason for me to cover that in this video. I'll just simply be doing the Hive, which I will be doing on Master, as always. It's more health, more lethal, regen penalty, faster venom, ammo starvation, regeneration, and Iron Man. And then as far as team comp, the same Scorpio Squad team comp, Blade Master, Anchor, and Tactician is ideal because you do not have to rely on getting a specific seed set. Same card comp as the previous map, the Mines. I should mention though, if you want to, you could run an Infiltrator or a Marksman on this map. It's just, if you don't get the long shot and you run a Marksman, it gets frustrating. And if you don't get the Nasher and you run an Infiltrator, it also gets frustrating. So Scorpio Squad seems to be ideal. Now, when it comes to the original Hive map, there are multiple seed sets that you can get. The easiest one is having rejects in the beginning. Unfortunately, we did not have rejects in the beginning. It is possible to actually sneak up on these enemies, especially rejects, but unfortunately, that's not in the cards for us today. I'll just grab that for a gun. As long as you don't sprint, you can sneak up on these rejects.
Look out. Reject.
If you go down here to the left, you do have the opportunity to build up your ultimate, assuming that you're running with the tactician, because there's usually a couple of rejects down there. You could also go to the ammo room, but it's personal preference, really. A lot of people will just go straight to the left. It honestly doesn't really matter. If you go this way, you can get a little bit more ammo for anchor. If you don't have an anchor, though, it's less advisable. And there's two different seed sets that you can get. You can get the drone seed set, or you can also get the seed set where there's a sniper. If you're lucky, you can rush them and get into cover, but that's why I usually skip this. I'm not a big fan of going here to this first ammo room, because a lot of times you just get drugged down and, you know, have to stay in combat for a while with these dudes.
Found a weapon.
But it does make it easier for, like, anchor if you have the marks or whatnot.
Supplies. Take a look.
And then, of course, there can be cog tags in here. There's flash grenades in here. And then, of course, all the ammo, which is for anchor. There's only a couple ammo crates in here, by the way, so I like to grab a flash and then have anchor go ahead and grab the ammo crates, at which point you gotta move because the venom is probably going to be pretty close to you.
Hey, we should regroup. Got it.
And if you go slow, you don't have to worry about these rejects because you can just walk up behind them and yank the power core out.
It's the venom.
And if you're lucky and really slow moving, you can even sneak up on those guys. But that requires a great deal of luck. Now, of course, there's two. I really hate that when the enemies are side by side like that, because you can't survive the melee unless the enemy that's near you is bleeding. If the enemy near you is bleeding, then it's super easy.
Not a single one standing.
Now, coming up here, it's different. It's not always the same. Usually you have a couple juvies, or there's an imago. In this case, we got the juvies. In both of these little rooms, it's just going to be ammo for the most part, which is going to be anchors. Now, on this side of the hallway, this is for your tactician, because there's going to be explosives. There's an incendiary grenade for someone who, if they want that. There's a frag, explosive ammo. There's also a blue ammo pouch as well, or ammo box. Most of the time, nobody ever picks up the incendiary grenade. Now, if you do have a marksman, it can make this section a little bit easier. but not by all that much. Of course, that's also reliant on having the long shot as well. You do have to be somewhat quick in this section because of the fact that the venom will be on your ass the entire time. But the biggest threat by far is going to be the Scion.
We've got a drone. Hunter spotted. Oh, how sweet it is!
The drones and the Ice Scion are going to be the largest threats.
That is one X grub. Tango down. More ammo here.
Clean sweep.
At which point you can, you know, loot their bodies. It doesn't really matter too much. There's a Marxa back there, you know. It's really not that big of a deal when it comes to ammo, especially if you have a tactician with you. Now, when you go up, you do get a whole bunch of stuff that comes after you. There's 2 grenadiers guaranteed and juvies.
Grenadier spotted.
There's 1 left. We're making it take a little bit longer because of getting the ultimate, but
We're all here. Shut that door.
personal preference, really. It doesn't hurt to be prepared. Now, this next section can be a little bit tricky because it does depend on the boss. Personally, I think getting the Warden is a hell of a lot easier than getting the Flock, but you can make do with either one.
There's a grenade here.
Warning, warning. Contamination detected. Doors opening in 3, 2.
I got a flash, yeah.
Let's go.
It just depends on what we've got coming up here.
Cover me! Reloading!
There's like 3 different seed sets. Alright, we actually got lucky. We got the Scion seed set. Not bad.
Bring it on! Watch out, stud motherfucker!
You can either get like a whole shitload of Grenadiers, a whole shitload of Juvies, or that Mulcher Scion combo that we just had. Which in that case, Anchor having his shield ready was awesome. Now you could go to the left if you want. Personally, that's kind of an annoying route to take, but if you want to do it, you can. I like to go to the right, always have. It really just depends on how lucky or unlucky you are. If you're unlucky, these guys are just gonna frickin' burst you down. If you're slightly lucky, then you should be able to get a couple of these guys just by meat shielding them. But, of course, when they go and jump around and go over cover so you can't meat shield them, it's incredibly annoying. Most of your team needs to push if you're going to be able to take these guys out. Quick enough, that is.
Target neutralized.
Cover me! Reloading!
What happens when you mess with Nova?
Even if you have a meat shield, that M-bar will still kill you. The M-bars are really annoying because sometimes they even shoot you through cover. Kind of like that. Metal was behind cover and still got hit. And you don't want to go too far up because you'll trigger the boss. You do, of course, want to get rid of that guy who, despite the fact that he's bleeding, is still able to down me. The cards in this game are really, well, sometimes they work right and sometimes they don't. So now we just have to wait and see. Alright, we did get the seed set where we have a warden. I can't even get off the stupid piece of cover, which is really annoying.
Hey, I need help! Shit! Gotta find ammo! Large and recharged!
I was just going to use my ultimate to take out the warden, but, you know, not in Venom, so...
I'm reloading!
Just do it the old-fashioned way, we'll shoot him.
And down you go! Weapon.
Now I have a fun toy to play with.
Weapon spotted.
There's more than a few ways to deal with this. You could always have your tactician do explosive damage and then use their ultimate for recharge. I usually skip that far left room, or that far left path. And then there's more ammo in here. There's explosives crates, usually cog tags, and regular ammo.
There's a grenade here. I'll take those.
Of course, your tack should be grabbing the explosives,
Take those.
and your anchor should be grabbing the other. There's also usually a couple shock grenades in here, so I'll just go ahead and grab that. We are a little bit slow. Tactician will normally take point here, using their ultimate to just bombard that doorway. At least taking out a couple of the scions.
Believe this shit. That's Scion's history.
The scions are the biggest threat. You might get all of the enemies, you might not. It's okay either way.
See the action. We've got a
Of course, Misfit just had to shoot. Oh well, is what it is. You never want to kill the guy that's like right in front of a Blade Master, because then they have nothing that they can heal off of.
I'm reloading. I'm at the exit. Still got it. Come on now, freak. Get that door closed and secure the LZ.
Oh, I was trying to avoid that flash.
Frag out.
Throwing flash grenade!
Incoming flash. They can't get close until the
And there you go.
seal the
Marginally rough, but that's what happens in Escape. No matter how much you play or how much you train, things still kind of just randomly go wrong from time to time. For our next easy map, we actually go to the one and only 3-act map, which is The Descent. This one's a little bit different, and for our team comp, it will be the Protector, because we'll be outside of the Venom most of the time, the Infiltrator, and the Anchor. You already know the cards for Anchor, the cards for my Protector. I generally always use the Regenerative Field, Bloody Blade, Big Knife, Close Range Recharge, and either the Drop Shield Duration, or if there's no other shotgun class, the Shotgun Modifier. For our Infiltrator, because I didn't show those cards earlier, Most of the time it's going to be custom Nasher, Blood Resonance, Reaper, Laceration, and Enhanced Stim or Cloak batteries. It's really dependent on the map and if there is an overkill, though. If there is no Nasher, but there's an overkill, then you can swap the cards around.
Bomb is set.
Now for this map, I'll just show it again. Difficulty Master. This one's relatively straightforward. It's kind of long because it's 3 acts, and there's multiple different seed sets that you can get. But most of you will know this map as the map that you play Kick the Leech on, because, well, that's what you do. You play Kick the Leech. But you can have all sorts of different seed sets. Usually it's like leeches and drones. They don't normally push up, but sometimes they do.
Good to go.
Which you can easily get bogged down in this first fight, just because you can't get them if they're hiding in cover. I prefer when there's grenadiers.
Still got it.
Now, if you get close, you can kind of sneak around on one of them. There is execution rules on, so bear that in mind. It doesn't hurt to pick up a hammer burst or something.
They're on me.
Now, you do want to get down that ladder if you're going to go down that ladder. Since I'm playing a melee class, I'm not really too worried about these guys here. But you do have to get a Nasher, and then there's ammo rooms. There is a chance that there's a Pouncer in one of these rooms, but it usually doesn't show up. Most of the time, all you're going to have in there is ammo. There is a cryo cannon, which is actually useful against the leeches, but that's about it. And then again, more ammo, and there are incendiary grenades, shot grenades, all that fun stuff. So, at which point, same process, have one person, usually the anchor, grab the ammo after picking up a Nasher so they can ammo up the Nasher for the infiltrator. And the melee class can kind of just hold the door. The reason why I'm currently running a protector is due to the fact that as a protector, I can actually fight outside of the venom and still bleed enemies, whereas a blade master can't bleed enemies outside of the venom.
All dead, just how I like it. Weapon here.
Usually I prefer it if you get long shots, but we did not get any long shots. You can kind of take your time and start moving forward a little bit more, killing off some of the leeches that spawn. Sometimes there will be a straggler that'll hide like back around here, so just don't get too far in front of your team. Now there is a weapons locker down there, which doesn't help us as much right now, but if you had long shots, it would be super awesome. And then of course you'll have more leeches. There's tons of leeches. And of course, now we have the snipers.
Believe that shit. Yeah, I'm fine. Reloading. Cover me. Weapon.
You should have plenty of time because of the venom. So we're going to kind of try to bum rush this sniper so that our anchor can actually have a sniper. Do be careful because there is friendly fire on. It's escape. Friendly fire's the thing. It's super annoying.
Venom's right behind us. Go. We're better off sticking together. Weapon.
There's another long shot. If you kill a sniper quick enough and you get their long shot, then you can go back, throw it on the locker. This way Anchor has a few more shells. In the meantime, I'm happy with my shotgun.
Found a weapon.
Again, you have plenty of time on the Venom. You can use this time to just let your ultimate recharge if you need to.
Visual on the safe room.
This section's relatively easy except for that first fight. The second section isn't bad. It's always a good idea to use your TACCOM to check how close to full your teammates' ultimates are. Obviously, with the cards that I have on as Protector, I get my ultimate super quick. But my ultimate isn't all that useful. It's a very situational ultimate.
This is called crossing a fucking line.
Look around. Grab any supplies while you can.
Now, there's ammo in here. There's a cryo cannon. The cryo cannon's not bad. Again, it's useful for the juvies, but that's about it.
Chamber has been breached. Opening in 3, 2, 1.
All right. I'm ready for more.
Reloading. Cover me. Going loud. Incoming flash grenade. Found some ammo. Sweet. Got him.
Perfect.
Weapon.
Now, you kind of have to wait for your team in this section.
Let's go. Who's up next?
Really? I missed a kick on that? Okay.
Reloading. Cover me.
Clean sweep. Nice.
Over here. This is what happens when you mess with Reload.
Okay. That's one of the very annoying things with this game because melee is the same button as vaulting, and for some reason this game is like just retarded and can't tell the difference between when you want to melee something or when you wish to vault over something. Oh, there's another leech behind us. There is a weapons locker up here that you can put like your long shot or whatnot on. This is the really annoying section of this map.
Nice. Goddamn son of a bitch. Come on, you want some of this? Nice. Come on, bring it. Still good.
These cryo cannon scions can be a little frustrating too. Especially because the range of their cryo cannon was buffed.
I'm down.
And it really doesn't take much to down you, unfortunately. Sometimes even a pouncer comes up behind you.
Got it. One dead pouncer.
And of course, if you get downed while taking a meat shield, then, well, you never get the meat shield.
Drone spotted.
I really wish that M-bar shot would not have gone right by me.
That's how it's done. Good assist. Thanks.
For those of you that don't know, you can actually stun your allies with the M-bar.
Run. Stocking up. Weapon marked.
You have to be careful, but most of the time there's at least one drone that lurks over here on this side, and you don't want them sneaking up behind you.
Weapon all dead. Just how I have visual on the safe room.
Now, once you get through that incredibly annoying little section,
Room secured.
this last part is actually the easiest part. And technically you could go through and fight everything, but we're only going to fight the first few enemies, and then we're actually going to run to the end up the left side.
Damn it. I'm picking up your signal. Do you copy? Raven is en route.
Now there's a couple ammo boxes in here. There's another incendiary grenade if somebody wants it. It's actually fairly helpful for dealing with the leeches, and of course another cryo cannon. You know what? For the heck of it, I'll bring the cryo cannon just so you can see how minimally effective it is. It's great at freezing leeches, terrible at everything else. And you're going to have claws up here. And a whole shitload of leeches. Now see, with these leeches, keeping in mind you can freeze your allies, but with this cryo cannon versus the leeches, it's actually relatively effective. Off of literally everything else, it's shit.
Clean sweep.
Once you get through those usually like 4 or 5 enemies, sometimes there's a couple enemies back here, but usually that's about it. Then you have these 2 ladders. Only one person can go up the ladder at a time. Take a step forward, wait for the third person to come up, and then we just need to run past these things so we don't get bogged down. And I've got my shield ready for the door.
Gotta reload.
There is an ammo room to the left if you wish to use it, but honestly I feel like it makes this a lot more difficult if you try to go for that. The drop shots can be annoying.
On the extraction point.
Okay, I'm at the exfil.
And then as soon as you get here, first person there just goes ahead and hits the door. The biggest threat is actually the ridiculous number of leeches that are going to come through the door, because they will strip your stim, they can down you. This is where, if you have a shot grenade, it's ideal. Flashes are also helpful, but yeah. And then to offer a little bit of cover, which I would have done that earlier if I didn't go down due to that pouncer, but yeah, you can drop your drop shield right in front of the door. So a little bit rocky, but the hardest part is actually the second act. Surprisingly easy, and you can run this with any number of characters as well. So there's more options than just the team comp that I showed. So there we go. That completes the list for the super easy maps. I do hope that you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to help you out. In the next video, which will be part 2, I will be covering the medium difficulty maps. And then in part 3, we will cover the hard difficulty maps. And in part 4? Well, it might be a 4 or 5 part series. We'll just see how long it takes. But the last one will cover the absolute worst maps. So I thoroughly hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, like I mentioned earlier, ask me and I will do my best to help you out. But if you did enjoy the video, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, and of course subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay frosty.